Hey friends, it is Jenna, what is up, and welcome back to the Board Game Garden, and welcome to my third and unfortunately final video in my gifting garden series for this year. Initially, I had it planned that I was going to do 4 of these, which I don't know why I keep on doing so many of these gift guide videos. Normally, other channels, they just do one big gift guide, but for some reason, I just think I need to do multiple of them. But initially I was going to do 4 of these, but I don't want to have them go up all the way until Christmas. I want them to be all up a little bit before Christmas. So as of me filming this one, it's about 2 weeks until Christmas. So I'm hoping to get this one up as soon as possible so that you guys, if you have any games in this video that I recommend that you want to get for yourself or for someone in your life, you have time to do so. So initially I was going to do one more after this, which was going to be like big box, or not big box, but just like normal size box gamer games, some more complex games that the gamers in your life would enjoy, but I do not have time for that, unfortunately, with going to PAX Unplugged and then getting sick, which I'm still getting over getting sick. So yes, apologies. But anyways, I'm going to stop yapping. We're going to get right into this video. If you guys want to see these 10 solo games that I recommend, then just keep on watching. Give this video a big thumbs up if you enjoy. Also, hit that subscribe button down below if you've yet to do so. We'd love to have you here in the garden. And also, comment down below any other solo, small box solo games, even bigger ones that you recommend down in the comment section. For those watching that are looking for more recommendations, definitely leave them down there. But yes, without further ado, let's get into these 10 small box, easy to get to the table solo games that I recommend this holiday season. Shall we? All right, so getting into the first game that I recommend, this is one that I got probably like 2 months ago. It was in early September. I actually discovered this at WSBG, or the World Series of Board Gaming, and I was introduced to this game, and it is the coolest game ever. I love this. It is a solo only game, and the game that I'm talking about is called Kingdom Legacy. So this one specifically is Kingdom Legacy Feudal Kingdom. So I do believe that there's going to be more in this series, but basically this is a solo only 1-deck legacy game, which is so cool to me. I love this kind of concept, and you guys will see a few other games in this video that kind of follow that kind of concept. But this is going to be a game where you're going to have 1 deck of cards. You're only going to start with some of them because this is a legacy game, so you are going to be adding more and more of these cards and going through this kind of story and upgrading these cards. And this is a legacy game, so you are going to be destroying cards. You don't have to destroy them, but you could just like discard them off to the side. You're also going to be adding stickers to some of the cards, different things like that. And you are going to have a certain amount of cards on the table, and each card is going to have a specific kind of resource payment that you're going to need to upgrade that card. Some of them are going to give you resources that then you can discard in order to upgrade other cards. If you've ever played a game called Palm Island, which is another one that I probably should have asked for Christmas or something, because I really want Palm Island, because I played it one time and really enjoyed it. But Palm Island is not a legacy game, so you can play it over and over again, but it has that same kind of concept of flipping the cards over, or flipping them not over, but this way, if that makes sense, and upgrading those cards by using different resources on other cards. And you can play it all in your hand. With this one, you are putting it onto the table, and you're going to have a certain amount of cards on the table that you're going to be working with. Then you're going to deal out or draw out some more cards and then work with those. You're going to have some bad things that you have to deal with, like enemies that you have to defeat and different things like that. I haven't gone through the whole thing, but I'm really looking forward to continuing through it. And it's a very, very fun game. So if you're looking for a small legacy game, if you've ever wanted to get into a legacy game where you're going through this story and going through and changing things and creating kind of your own adventure, I guess, then I definitely recommend this one. It's a small box, it's easy to get into, and not as intimidating as those huge big box legacy games. So that is Kingdom Legacy Feudal Kingdom. It is published by Fricks Games, and I will try to have all of these linked down below. But yeah, yeah, that is my number 1. Moving into the next game, this is kind of following that concept of a one deck kind of game. Maybe I will go through and do all of the ones that are considered like a one deck game. So the next one that I wanted to recommend, I actually just started playing this one a few days ago and I'm really liking it. So the game that I'm talking about is called Fate Flip Washed Ashore. So this I actually picked up myself at Gen Con from Alley Cat Games, and this is, like I said, a one deck kind of story game. It kind of reminds me of Kingdom Legacy, but so this one is a lot more like choose your own adventure style because you have the cards in your hand just like with Palm Island in Kingdom Legacy, but you are reading through this story. You have washed ashore this abandoned island and you're on your own and you're having to, you know, get a shelter and food and keep your energy up and stay safe and stuff like that. So you're reading through and then you have a few options of what you want to do, and then you have to choose between those options, and then those options will either have you gain things or spend things or flip the cards in certain ways and place them to the back. They're going to have you add more cards into that hand of cards that you have, and you're just going through this story. So far I've gone through chapter 1 and chapter 2, and I have made a friend with a monkey and I've built a shelter, and it is just very immersive and fun, and I definitely recommend checking it out if that sounds like something that you would enjoy. So yes, that is my number 2, a very narrative kind of one deck game that you can play solo. It does say 1+, so you can play this with other people and just make the decisions together. But for the most part, I definitely recommend this one for some solo play. So that is Fate Flip Washed Ashore. Moving into the third game, this is the most recent one that has been added to my collection. I actually got this at PAX Unplugged, which I just got home from, and I started playing it and I'm already really enjoying it, and I want to recommend it to you guys. So the game that I am talking about is A Light in the Mist. So this is a puzzle game. So if you are really into, you know, exit games and different things like that, definitely recommend this one. It is a solo puzzle game. You can play it 1 to 4 players. It is cooperative then if you were to play it with more players. But I definitely recommend this if you are into those kind of puzzle games and exit games, because this is a game where you're going to be going through various puzzles in a tarot deck. So you do get a tarot deck that if you finish off all of these puzzles, you can then use this as a standard tarot deck, which I'm a huge fan of tarot cards and different things like that. I don't take it too seriously. It's more so just like a fun thing that I like to do every once in a while. But The Light in the Mist is from Post Curious. That is who publishes this. They have some other puzzle games that I am quite interested in as well, but this is my first kind of foray into those puzzly games. So this, like I said, you are playing through a bunch of different puzzles in a tarot card deck, and there's going to be your major arcana and your minor arcana, and each major arcana is a different puzzle you're going to be going through. You can go through them in pretty much any order. They definitely recommend a few ones to kind of start off with, but once you're finished with those, you can kind of just go into any order and try all of these different puzzles from these different major arcana cards, and each of those then require, in order to solve these puzzles, some specific minor arcanas that you bring in to solve these different puzzles. And it's really just a puzzly game that you can play through a tarot card deck, and it's this big story that you're going through, and you're trying to discover things about a friend that you have been kind of curious about what they are doing and things that they're getting into. So I definitely recommend this one if you yourself are into puzzle games or someone in your life are into those puzzly type games. Definitely recommend checking out A Light in the Mist. Moving into the next game, this is one that I have loved recently. This one is just so satisfying to me. If you're into like roll and writes, flip and writes, draft and writes, I definitely recommend checking this one out. It is a recent release and I feel like it hasn't been talked about that much, but I've really enjoyed this one, multiplayer as well as solo. This is, I think, maybe the biggest box out of all of them, which it's not a very big box at all. But the game that I'm talking about is Rivages, or Rivages. I'm not 100% sure how to say it, but it is published by Ketchup Games, which Ketchup Games comes out with some great games. I believe this is the same publisher that came out with Courtesans, as well as possibly Faraway as well. I could be wrong, but yes, I've really enjoyed Rivages solo specifically. Basically, this is a draft and write. So you have some cards that you're getting, and each card is going to have 3 different sections that you can choose. And you always have to choose the topmost section. If you're playing this with multiple players, you're going to choose a section, use that section, and then cross off that section and then pass it to the next person. And then they have those leftover ones to choose from. But in a solo game, you are just going through the deck by yourself. You're not passing to anybody, but you are crossing off various things and then eventually discarding and then getting rid of things from the game. So basically, you're going to have these different sections on these cards that are going to be different colored terrain tiles or terrain hexagons. And you're going to be going through various maps. You're going to start off with one map, and it's going to be various terrains, and each map is completely different. And you're going to be going through a bunch of these different maps. And basically, you are going to choose a section on one of the cards. You're going to use those different terrains on your map, and they do have to kind of be connected in a group. And then you're going to cross off those, and then you're going to cross them off on the card, and that's going to be you using that section of the card. And then basically each map is going to require you to do different things to gain victory points or scrolls. I'm probably doing a really bad job explaining this, but hopefully with the B-roll that I'm showing you guys, it'll make more sense. But overall, you're just trying to explore these different maps. Once you have gone from one ship spot to another ship spot, you are going to complete that map, and then you're going to be able to pick up a new map that's then going to have different objectives and different terrain and a completely different shape of island that you're going to be exploring, and going through and crossing off these different terrain types and trying to get as many victory points as possible in the specific way that that map requires. For the solo game, your objective is to get, I think, 26 scrolls by the end of the game, and then if you want a more advanced game, you can have some different objectives that you have to get in order to win the game. So yes, I really enjoyed Rivages. It's very satisfying. It's a very easy game to play, and I recommend it immensely if you enjoy that type of game. So that is Rivages. All right, moving on to a game that I have talked about a lot here on the channel. This is a solo trick-taking game that I have recommended so many times. The game that I recommend is For Northwood. So this is published by Sideroom Games, and like I said, this is a solo trick-taking game where you're going to be having conversations. That's going to be you playing tricks against a deck that you're just going to be flipping cards out of. And that is going to be a conversation that you're having with one of these different villagers that you're trying to convince to fight for you for Northwood. And each of these different characters are going to require you to win a particular amount of tricks against this pile of cards. So you're really trying to figure out how exactly you can win that exact amount of tricks in order to successfully convince this villager or person or little adorable creature to fight for you for Northwood. There's also a little book that has different scenarios that you can play through. And then also, as you convince these different creatures to fight for you, they are going to then add different abilities that you can use. So if you really enjoy trick taking, but you want to try a solo trick taking game that's super easy to get to the table and very fun to play, I definitely recommend For Northwood. So moving into the next game, this is one that I've talked about quite a bit this year. I love this game so much, and it's an older game that finally got a reprint. And the game that I am talking about, I have two different versions of it, but the game that I'm talking about is A Gentle Rain. So there is two different versions of this. There's a more deluxeified version here that I do believe this is the Bloom edition. I think this is the one that's available at Target. I could be wrong, but there's also this cute little like small pocket edition as well. But this is published by Incredible Dream. But this is a solo only puzzly, very satisfying and relaxing, tranquil game about laying tiles down and ultimately trying to lay all of these different colored flowers. If you successfully lay all of the flowers before you run out of tiles, that is you winning the game. And basically you're just going to shuffle up these tiles and then you're going to start flipping over these tiles and trying to connect, or you have to connect the same colored flower next to each other. And eventually, once you have 4 kind of connected in a 2x2, that's going to create a circle in the middle. And then whatever 4 flowers are kind of surrounding that circle are the 4 different colored flowers that you can choose to then place into that circle. And ultimately, like I said, you're trying to place all of these different colored flowers by strategically placing these tiles out. Obviously, once you have like 1, 2, 3, there's going to be 2 flowers that you then have to match with a tile. So it kind of gets more difficult as you build out this kind of layout of these different tiles. And it is all about just a relaxing experience. It is challenging for sure, but it's one of those games that like you can play it out in 10 minutes, and if you fail you can just reshuffle those tiles and try again, and it doesn't feel frustrating. It's just very, like I said, tranquil and relaxing, and just such a wonderful game that I recommend anybody that wants a relaxing little game to play in the evenings. This is the one to get. So that is A Gentle Rain. Like I said, there's the 2 different versions. I have both of them. I've played both of them. They're both wonderful. This one is like more deluxeified, so it has the little plastic flowers, but this one is just as wonderful with some wooden tokens for the flowers as well. So that is A Gentle Rain. All right, so keeping with the tranquil, relaxing solo games, the next game that I want to recommend, there are 2 different versions of this now, and again, it has this very small box. It is very relaxing and tranquil and perfect solo game in my opinion. But the game that I'm talking about is Tranquility and Tranquility the Ascent. So there are 2 different versions of this. I haven't decided yet which one I prefer. Tranquility is the original game, and then you also have Tranquility the Ascent, which is a more recent release that kind of plays on the same gameplay as Tranquility, but has some differences in the kind of shape of what you're building out and different things like that. But basically, this is a game that you can play 1 to 5 players, so you can play it with more players. I personally prefer this solo. It's just something about this game that's just so puzzly and fun to play solo. When you are playing it with more players, it's a like limited communication game, so you can't really talk too much about the cards that you have in your hand and what you were thinking in your head. You kind of have to do it with like just thinking about what other people are going to do and no communication. So that's a fun part of the multiplayer version of it, but I really enjoy this as a solo puzzly game. So basically what's going to happen is you're going to have a hand of cards in both of them. In this one, your cards are actually these like diamond shaped cards, and in this one they're square. So I guess technically they're both square, but the way you're placing them down is different. This one you are building out just a square of cards or a grid of cards, whereas in the Ascent you are building out a mountain. So you're starting with a bunch on the bottom and then it's getting smaller and smaller as it gets to the top or to the peak. But the basic kind of gameplay of this is similar, where you're going to be placing out these cards, and if you ever have to place 2 cards beside one another, you're going to have to discard the difference in number between the 2. So your best case scenario with these is placing, let's say, a 52 and then a 53 right beside it, because you're only going to have to discard 1 card. Instead of having to discard more cards. You can only ever have 5 cards in your hand, so if you ever have to discard more than that, you just automatically lose the game. With this one, you're building out a grid that is going to be from, I think the numbers are like 1 to 80, I think is the highest. Whereas this one, you're going to be building out a mountain that you're going to have, I think, numbers 1 to 12, I think is the highest one. I could be wrong. I've played the Ascent less than I have played the original. But it's just this very fun puzzly game where you're placing out these different cards and trying to complete either the grid or the mountain without having to discard or without, you know, running out of cards, different things like that. It's just a very, very fun, tranquil game, just like the title suggests. So definitely recommend both of these. They are both very fun. Whatever kind of theme you like better or whatever gameplay maybe, I would go for that one, but they're both very fun and I recommend both of them. So that is Tranquility and Tranquility the Ascent. All right, so moving into the 8th game, this is actually a little bit of a cheat because this is just a general group of games. I always recommend these games. They are wonderful and they have some fantastic solo games that are small. You can travel with them. They're easy to get to the table, easy to learn. The games that I'm talking about are button shy games. So I have a huge pile here of some of my favorite solo button shy games. All of these are so much fun. And the first one that I want to recommend is Numpsters. This is one of my most recent favorite ones where basically you can play this in your hand and you're trying to get monsters to eat other monsters. It's kind of based off of the saying of like 7, 8, 9. I think it's like, why is 6 afraid of 7? Because 7, 8, 9. I think that's the saying. But you're playing this in your hand and you're trying to get cards to eat one another based off of where the 8 is. And then if they're sequential, you get to eat, I think it's the bigger one eats the smaller one, or it might be reversed. It's been a little bit since I've played, but it's very fun, very easy to get to the table, or easy to get into your hand, I guess. So that's a fun one. I also recommend Rove, which this is a puzzly spatial game where you are trying to get certain kind of arrangements of these cards, and each card is going to be able to be moved in a certain way, and then you're going to be using these cards to have various amounts of movement, and you're trying to get these various layouts, like I said. I also just recently got Aqua Rove. I haven't played it yet, but it is a game based off of the original Rove, and I'm very excited to play that one. So we have those. We also have Ugly Griffin Inn, which I love. We have Ancient Realm, which Ancient Realm feels like a Euro-y game, but in just simply a deck of cards. You're working with resources and different things and layering cards. I recommend that one as well. And then we also have Fishing Lessons, which is a fun one. We also have the Royal Limited as well. And then we also have Skulls of Sedlec, which basically different skulls are going to be needing to be placed beside specific ones, and it's a very puzzly game. This one is actually 2 to 3 players, but then you can get specific solo expansions to make it a solo game. So, but yes, that is Skulls of Sedlec, and that is all of the different button shy games that I recommend. There's also Food Chain Island, which I don't know why I didn't grab that one as well, but they have so many fun solo only games. I definitely recommend checking them out. There's various themes and stuff, and just pick out the ones that you or speak to you most. So that is number 8, just button shy games. Moving into number 9, this is actually a game from a publisher that I've already mentioned in this video, which this publisher is doing a great job at making some fantastic solo games, so I definitely recommend checking them out. I actually just recently received another game that I'm very excited to dive into solo. It's a very big box game, but it's in the same world as these games here, and the game that I'm talking about is Kinfire Delve. We have 3 different boxes here. We have Vainglory's Grotto, we have Scorn's Stockade, and then we also have Kallax's Lab, which this is a game that you can play solo, but you can also play it up to 4 players. I actually have not played this up to 4 players. I've only played it up to 2, because basically each box is going to come with 2 characters, and you're going to be playing a character. With the solo, you can just choose which character you want to play, but in multiplayer, you can play with 1 box, 2 players, because each player will play the 2 different characters. But if you have 2 boxes, you can have the 4 characters characters, and each player chooses one of those, and then you're going to be playing it cooperatively. So basically in this game, you're going to be diving into some sort of location, and that location is going to be represented by this deck of cards, and you're trying to get through this deck of cards all the way to the bottom to then go against this boss of some sort. So each of these boxes has a different boss. So obviously the first one is Vainglory. So you have Vainglory is going to be your boss that you're going to be going against. There is Scorn, and then you also have Kallax. You're going to be going against this boss, but before you get there, you do have to make it through all of these other cards and different creatures that you have to defeat. And you're going to be doing this by a mixture of playing cards that are going to allow you to kind of attack one thing. So you're going to be I usually set it up where you have the deck in the middle, and then you have the 4 available things that you can kind of attack or go against or defeat adjacently from the deck. So you have up, down, left, and right. And then once you have defeated that, you're going to discard that, and then a new card is going to come out from the deck in the center. Some people put the deck off to the side and then put the boss in the center. You can do whatever you want and whatever feels best for you. But yeah, you're going to be using these cards. Some of the cards are going to work better with certain things in different colors. You do have to play the same color as the thing that you are going against or attacking. And then also you're going to be rolling dice that then add to your attack, and you're trying to get certain numbers, and then all of the different cards kind of work in different ways and has this little puzzly feel of trying to play certain cards at certain times and being most productive in the way that you use your hand of cards. You also have some special abilities for the different characters, and it is the type of game that I normally do not like. I don't love games where it feels super challenging and you're trying to defeat different things, but there's something about the card play and the rolling of dice and also the production of this. I will say the publisher is Incredible Dream, the same people that make A Gentle Rain, but they've made these games with some incredible production. The cards are embossed and foiled on the other side, and they're just absolutely beautiful. So it's very, very fun to play this one, and I've really enjoyed diving into the different boxes. I have yet to play Kallax's Lab, which is the most recent release, but I have played these 2 boxes, and I've really enjoyed diving into the different characters and going against the different bosses and stuff like that. So it is challenging, but it is fun and makes me want to go back to it over and over again. So that is a really good sign. So definitely recommend checking out if you're looking for a challenging monster battling game. Then it is Kinfire Delve that I recommend. And then the last game that I want to recommend, this is one of my favorite roll and writes. I love this game so much, and there's so much content for this game, which makes me so happy. And there additionally is now a new version of this game coming out that I'm very excited about that I haven't really seen much for. So I need to look into that because I'm pretty sure it's being released very soon. But the game that I'm talking about is, which I have a huge stack of a bunch of different things here, is Railroad Ink. So Railroad Ink is a game that's been around for a little bit, for sure. There's definitely a lot of content out for this one. I have quite a bit of content for it, which I have some different dice packs for and stuff like that. But basically this is a roll and write. I have the blue, yellow, red, and then I have the dice packs here. There's additionally another big box that is the green, which I really want to get the green to kind of complete the collection. And then additionally, I have a purple expansion that is the Archipelago expansion that gives you this big map that you can play with, which is really cool. But basically this is a roll and write. Each box is going to play slightly different with the different dice that are included in it. The blue box comes with the Rivers and Lakes expansion. This one comes with the Canyon and Desert expansion, and this one comes with the Lava and Meteor expansion. So they all have some different varying ways to play it. But the basic premise and gameplay of Railroad Ink is that you're going to be rolling these dice, and the dice are going to have various kind of shapes of railroads as well as highways, and you are placing these different, you have to place every single one of the dice that are rolled into your map, and you're trying to connect the different exits in different ways. You're trying to connect the railroads and the highways. And then, like I said, the different expansions add these different things to the game, but you're trying to connect in various ways in order to gain the most victory points as possible. You also have some additional kind of four-way things that you can add in, which you can only add one of each of them throughout the game, and you're playing through various rounds and then trying to get the most victory points at the end of the game, which this one's really fun because you can play this remotely with people. So I've actually watched a few different YouTube videos or a few different playthroughs, and I've actually used their dice rolls to play along with them, which I think is very fun. But it's just so satisfying rolling the dice and then trying to use those different highways and railroads in order to connect them and make various different paths and trying to get those different victory points and all of those things. So definitely recommend Railroad Inc. if you're looking for a fun, easy to get into, easy to play roll and write. Definitely recommend. And then, like I said, there's a ton of content for it. You have all of the different boxes that all come with the different expansions. And then additionally, you can get all of these, oh my goodness, all of these different little dice packs as well, which you can play with any of these boxes, and they're going to add in different things, which I haven't been able to even get into any of these, but there is the arcade, electricity, sky, futuristic, eldritch, and underground. I think there are one or two more little dice boxes as well, but yeah, there's just so much content for Railroad Inc. and it's just such a fun, varying game that you can play either by yourself or with other people. So definitely recommend. That is published by Horrible Guild, by the way, so definitely recommend checking out Railroad Inc. That is my last game that I recommend. All right, friends, so that is going to be everything for today's video. This was all of the different small box solo games that I recommend here in the gifting garden. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you did, please give this video a big thumbs up. Also, hit the subscribe button down below if you've yet to do so. We'd love to have you here in the garden. Feel free to comment down below any other solo game recommendations that you recommend. We'd love to hear them down below. I'd love to hear them. Others watching this video would love to hear them. Thank you all so much for watching today. I love you so, so much. Remember, you are somebody's reason to smile, and I will see you in the next board game video. Bye, friends.